Hello students, in today's class we will be discussing about the critical theory of Jürgen Habermas. Jürgen Habermas is a 20th century philosopher who lived in 20th century and 21st century. Jürgen Habermas has developed the critical theory as an alternative theory to Marxism and democracy. And Jürgen Habermas has many important political ideas, which includes the critical theory, the ideas on knowledge and human interests, legitimation crisis, communicative action and public sphere, emancipation and critical postmodernism. Jürgen Habermas has criticized one of the intellectual movements of 20th century, that is called as postmodernism. Postmodernism is a philosophy that insisted on relativism in the place of universal reason, but Habermas opposed postmodernism and he insisted that the ideals and values of enlightenment and modernity should be allowed to continue, and he regarded the modernity as an unfinished agenda of unfinished project of modernity, and he insisted that the ideals of modernism should be allowed to continue. So, these are some of the political ideas. Among these ideas, in today's class, we will be discussing about the critical theory. The critical theory of Habermas starts with a critique of capitalism. Capitalism as a political and economic system lost its legitimacy due to its negative effects, and he wanted a humanistic dimension to Marxism. As we all know, capitalism, which is started in 16th and 17th centuries as mercantile capitalism, and in 17th, 18th and 19th centuries it has become industrial capitalism, and 19th century and 20th century it has become finance capitalism. So, capitalism in due course of its development has produced so much of exploitation in the society. The millions of workers in the industrial societies particularly experienced so much of economic exploitation, and millions of people were pushed into subhuman conditions of human life like poverty, unemployment, job insecurity, misery, ill health and what not. So, these are called as the subhuman conditions of human life. They have also produced a trend called alienation according to Karl Marx. So, capitalism as a political and economic system lost its legitimacy due to negative effects, and he considered, Jürgen Habermas considered capitalism as a just economic system. It is not a life world. He wanted that a life world should be recognized. People have society, people have culture, people are human values, people have a political system, people have technology. So, by combining all these things, there is a life world for the people. So, ignoring this life world, capitalism insisted only in the economic dimension of human life. That is why this economic dimension of human life in the form of capitalism, modern capitalism, has pushed human beings, particularly the working classes, into poverty, destitution and misery. They have lived subhuman conditions of human life. That is why he wanted to bring human dimension in the society, particularly to the economic system. So, he wanted that classical Marxism, which analyzed the exploitation of working classes only in an economic dimension, and he insisted that human dimension, humanistic dimension should also be added to Marxism. And Jürgen Habermas observed that there is a close relationship between social structures and power. In every society, power is concentrated only in the hands of the prosperous sections of the people. The prosperous sections and richer classes in the society hold the social structures, the social institutions, the social structures, the social relations are dictated by power of the prosperous people. And Jürgen Habermas observed that this domination of power on social institutions will only produce more misery in the society. That is why he wanted to democratize the relations among different sections of people in the society. That is why he observed a close relationship between social structures and power. His critical theory make an emphasis on democratizing social structures and power, and hence patterns of dominance should be challenged. So, dominance and patterns of dominance in social institutions and social structures should be challenged. Then only society become democratic. Democratic culture should be allowed to pervade in all the sections of the society. And emancipation of people from poverty, malnutrition and other problems is possible only through communicative action. He insisted that all people need to have communicative action. They need to act and they need to communicate with each other. People should debate, people should converse, people should discuss, people should deliberate. Then only a social communication, the communicative action is made, and all the problems of the people and all the matters of public importance should be solved only through the communicative action. So, this is another dimension of critical theory given by Jürgen Habermas, and he insisted that a new society should be built with a democratic culture and participation of citizens. So, Jürgen Habermas was including and adding the democratic dimension to Marxian theory through his critical theory. He says that democratic culture should be included to any theory, and participation of citizens in the debate, in the discourse or in the deliberations is required to solve the problems of the people. So, a new society should be built with a democratic culture and participation of citizens. And likewise, Jürgen Habermas also insisted on invoking ethical standards and moral standards in public discourse. So, in every society there should be some cultural norms. These norms should have the human values, the ethical values and the moral values. So, without these ethical standards and moral standards, no society can prosper. That is why the society with economic system, political culture or democratic culture, participation of citizens and also ethical standards only bring us a civilized society. And he criticized the domination of technology on human lives. So, he insisted that democratic culture should be allowed to continue in the society, and he insisted that ethical standards should be invoked in public life, and he also insisted that technology should act only as a facilitator. The technology should not dominate the lives of the people. He criticized the domination of technology on human lives. And likewise, in the nature and scope of critical theory, Jürgen Habermas he criticized the crisis in the human societies, particularly crisis in modern capitalist system, and he also showed the way how to resolve the conflict. So, the modern capitalist society, the crisis can be resolved only through communicative action, and social and political systems should imbibe the human values, and critical theory emphasizes cooperation and coordination among different sections of people. So, this is also another important aspect of critical theory. So, in his critical theory, the modern capitalist system should resolve the problems of crisis, the legitimation crisis, through communicative action. That means, all sections of people should be freely and frankly discuss, deliberate and debate the issues of public importance to resolve the problems. That is one thing. And social and political systems should work with values, moral values and ethical values. So, they should imbibe the human values. And critical theory also emphasizes that there should be cooperation and coordination in the place of competition. Modern capitalist system make the people compete with each other. It encourages mad competition among the people. But Habermas insisted that there should be cooperation and coordination among the different sections of people in the place of the competition, mad competition. So, with all these virtues, a new society can be built. So, let us look into all the points of critical theory once again. Habermas observed that there is a close relationship between social structures and power, and the patterns of dominance should be challenged. That is the first point. And people should involve themselves in communicative action. This is the only way through which the emancipation is possible. And thirdly, a new society should be built with a democratic culture and participation of citizens. And any society, for its survival and meaningful existence, need to have ethical standards and moral standards in public discourse. Likewise, he criticized the domination of technology in human lives. So, critical theory of Jürgen Habermas is an alternative social theory of development. It combines both Marxism and democracy. It insisted that democratic culture should be imbibed and values like human values and moral values should be encouraged in a human society. And likewise, he also limits the power of the technology, and he emphasized that technology should be allowed only as a facilitator, not as a promoter. So, this is how technology should have a limited role in human lives. So, this is all about the critical theory of Jürgen Habermas. Jürgen Habermas has also certain important ideas like knowledge and human interest, legitimation crisis, communicative action, public sphere and other issues, other political ideas. So, his important theory that is called as the critical theory of Habermas is a critique on modern capitalist system, and he wanted a humanistic dimension on classical Marxism, and he combined both the theories of Marxism and democracy to evolve a deliberative democracy, and he wanted all the social structures should be challenged to democratize and bring democratic culture in the functioning of social institutions, and he insisted that there should be communicative action and democratic culture and participation of citizens, invoking ethical standards in public life and domination of technology and human lives. Thank you.